As an artist, was there an experience or a series of events in childhood that inspired you to become an artist?
I remember like coloring plants or like foliage, and I was just coloring it green. And my uncle's a muralist, and I remember him coming over, and he's like, it's not just green because it's a plant. He's like, the sun is shining on it. Some of it's yellow and some of it's orange, and the bottom is blue, and there's shadow and there's light. And I remember like him explaining it to me, not really knowing what he was talking about, but being really interested. And I remember trying, okay, so I tried to color the tips yellow, and then I tried to fade it into green, and I think it was like that moment where I was like, yeah, man, there's way more to this. This is what I want to do for sure.
For part of my childhood, I grew up in rural Alberta. I went to a small rural school called Duffield, and one of the experiences I had that drew me to the arts was we went and saw a play at the Citadel when I was grade 5, and it was called The Kite, I think, and it was astoundingly poignant for me at that point in my life, and really blew open the doors in terms of like, I just didn't know that world existed.
Like I remember, going on family vacations and doing all these drawings, usually of like I was about 11 or 12, maybe, of like, goalies and sports figures and things like that, and then I'd go and try and sell them to my parents or my brothers or whatever. So that was kind of, I see that as the first kind of side of sort of making art commercially.
I was looking out the window, and I saw the first snow of the year, and it was, to me, it was absolutely marvelous. They frequently were when I was young. Didn't take long to get over it, but I mean, when I was young. And what I noticed was that the snow didn't really come down. The snow's just sort of, the air sort of opened, and then there was snow there, and I was just totally taken aback. And the only thing that came over me was, how can I, and then I was there with pencil and paper.
The drum set and rock and roll music inspired me to become an artist.
My mother actually exposed me to some shows at the university. When I was a kid, I saw a version of Lord of the Rings done with puppets, and I kind of really got excited about it. So I was right in a drama class in about grade 5 or 6 and started doing shows.
I had a teacher at my regular school who handed me a ukulele one day, and it was a tiny little 4-string guitar. He said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. What do you mean?" Like, for about 2 or 3 weeks, he taught me basic ukulele skills over that period. Going through this process with a teacher, kind of taking an interest in my creative development, as well as a school situation where I was being tested and challenged by certain kinds of creative exercises, gave me the confidence later, during the teenage years when most children or students or whatever give up making art because they can't make it look the way they want it to look, let's say. I had the confidence to maybe go into my backyard and make a Super 8 film using like Godzilla models and things like that, right? And that definitely came from having that interest early on, that having somebody who wasn't family, wasn't friends, taking an interest in my creative development and saying, here, you can be confident, see what you can do, let's try it.
Is there a relationship between where a person lives and their participation in the arts?
Being from a small town, there's really not much opportunity to get involved in the arts. There is maybe a bit more of a craft, like guilds, different things like that, but where I was from, there was no art galleries or professional artists or anything like that.
If you live in a rural community, it's probably going to be maybe early childhood. It might be more difficult towards, what are you going to do out in the country as a musician, say, as a professional musician? You have to travel, especially in this country, Canada, you have to travel a heck of a long way.
The rural community really allows for a nice a bubble in which to really be focused, actually. If all you ever want to do is play a musical instrument, living out in the country is a great way to do it. There's certainly less distraction in terms of the amenities of modern life.
I was thinking about this. Growing up in Morinville, I didn't have a lot of exposure to the arts, so I think when you don't have something in your youth, you appreciate it much more as an adult. I hesitate to say that if I had been exposed to the arts at an early age, whether I would have had the same love for it now. Now I understand how important it is because I know what my life was like without the arts.
Because I grew up on a farm, I had no people around me, so I was free to really develop following my own curiosity. If I grew up in the suburbs and had a little pack rat group of friends that was into other things, I'd probably be doing other things.
Why do people stop participating in the arts once they reach adulthood?
I think the big thing that separates people is that sense of wonder and imagination. I know this from going to schools and working with elementary students. They have great imaginations. Anything is possible. Oftentimes I'm running to catch up to them when they come up with these great ideas for stories. Then I go into junior high school and I find that there are blinders that start to come on, and the word no comes up more often, so imagination starts to shut down. And I don't know if it's because of just the notion of becoming a teenager, you're against all the things that you were as a kid, or if it was a case of as you grow up, more and more restrictions are placed on you as a human being. And I find in high school there's a slight return to the creativity, but not anywhere close to the level that it was as an elementary student.
I think a lot of adults just expect to be competent at something, or it's something they can't do, and they don't want to put themselves out there. And I think art's a bit more of a vulnerable place, so I think there needs to be more encouragement and just continuing education and places where people can go and see art that isn't necessarily a feeling of pretentiousness.
My first reason would be television. My second reason would be money. Television for the audience participation, money for the career participation. It's very simple. If you want to make money, don't become an artist. If you watch a lot of television, you don't need to go out. Look at what happened to the country dance. Satellite TV came in.
95% of adults, even if they wanted to be artists, probably aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to do what it takes to create a space in order for them to be able to express themselves best in their art. So I would hope that something could happen where children, teenagers, young adults are encouraged to express themselves in a way that isn't humiliating or embarrassing for them, so that they can have confidence in their own abilities.
Want me to read it?
And we're rolling. As an artist, was there an experience or series of events in your childhood that inspired you? I'll take that again.
Don't say was there an event.
Oh, you want me to say that? Paraphrase, okay.
Okay, as an artist. Okay, gotcha. As an artist, was there an experience or series of events in childhood
that... take that again.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, and go.
As an artist...